So we have this all encompassing, all knowing mindset when it comes to those that are teaching us, right? You have a teacher, you think that they just know what's right for you or know what's best all the time, and that they are going to know things that you don't know always, and that there may be almost nothing that you can teach them. Well, that's where I'll tell you guys that you're wrong. And I'm pointing this out to say that I had someone training me in Smash Bros recently. He was the primary coach that I had that was going to be showing me how to competitively play, even though I've been playing for over 20 years and I never wanted to really get into the competitive field for a multitude of reasons, which we can get into in a little bit. And in my mind, I was thinking like, yeah, this guy knows the game, but there are aspects of the game that he clearly did not know. And before we even jump and dive into everything, I'm starting this video off by saying all of my coaches for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, all three of them completely quit, did not want to coach anymore, didn't want anything to do with the community anymore. And it's for a multitude of reasons. But this one particularly, I gotta say, definitely was a little hurtful, a little bit caught me off guard. Really, I wasn't expecting it to be honest with you, but there are certain behaviors that I think are definitely learning experiences for others that can be pointed out. Despite whether someone may know more than you about a certain topic or not, you can still always call out bad behavior. And I think that that's what this was, and it ultimately ended up in my coach's or my coach quitting or rage quitting on the entire series. So here we are now, supposed to be filming part 4 tonight of the coaching series, getting coached by a Smash Ultimate Pro. Here's what happened. So I did a live stream last night with quite a few people, actually. A lot of people pulled up. I believe we were at like 15, 20 people just watching us and whatnot. We had a lot of new people joining the community, first time being there. And I was being coached by this particular individual, and I'm not saying names here. You guys, if you want to know who it is, you can just find out for yourself. But I'm not saying names here out of just respect and just because I don't want to bring any sort of hate or anything towards anybody for no particular reason, or not even just for this. It's not important enough to be passing hate along within the community that's already so fucking hateful to begin with. So I was being coached by this individual, and long story short, he's used to winning all the time, 3-stocking everyone, almost never losing a life. I did this live stream. I knew that I was going to get into the live stream. I was going to get my ass kicked by him at least, and that other people I would have a fighting chance with. And it's always been that way. I've always get my ass kicked with him. It's only been one time I've got him down to 1 stock and almost won and lost. It's only been once. So I was already expecting that. Here's the thing. I lose the entirety of the 4-hour stream. I won no matches at all. Mind you, I was drinking. And that doesn't really play too much of a role in whether I win or lose, but it definitely does play a role in my decision-making process mid-match and things of that nature. So just want to point that out. So I lose the entirety of the stream. I make no complaints. I don't tell anybody, oh, that was lag or that was BS or their character was carrying them or that's a Wi-Fi shulk or a Wi-Fi this or Wi-Fi that, or that's a, if you pull up and fight me in LAN, it would be bad. I don't really do that at all. And I think that the issue was at one point, the coach that was coaching me, the Smash Pro, actually ended up losing during the stream multiple times. He was playing on random and he got beat up many times over and over and over. And when I say bad sportsmanship, I mean, this is the definition of it. And that's one thing that you guys know I don't respect. I never have bad sportsmanship. I always show people their respects when they win, good game, yada, yada. Unless there's an occasional time where I might be like, F you to my friend and like, no, run it back, where it's a really close friend. But otherwise, it's always good sportsmanship. Yo, good match. You did great. That was actually good. And I point out my mistakes and see where I could grow and be better with that. So with the person coaching me, the Smash Pro, he actually didn't do that. Instead, he lost. And then he said, oh, that was because of Wi-Fi. And I was like, we all were watching that. There was no lag or anything. He was saying it was lag, it was Wi-Fi. I'm like, there was no lag or nothing. You guys were just fighting completely normal. Like there was no lag spike, there was no skips, no nothing. You just got hit and got killed, and that's just how the cookie crumbled type shit. And you should just say GG and keep it moving. Mind you, the entire time his opponents are literally saying good game over and over and over and over to him. Every single match, even when they lost, they were saying good game. Even when they won, good game. And they were not typing in the chat as much or saying much besides good game and like asking me questions and talking to me as a streamer and what's my goal with the stream? What am I doing here? Yada, yada. Where am I trying to do? All that. So they were just interacting, but also being very respectful. Mind you, when he loses to these, I believe it was 3 people, every time he lost to each person, and he lost to each of them multiple times, he would be like, lag, or, oh, that was just due to, it's a Wi-Fi link, it's a Wi-Fi this, a Wi-Fi Mac, a Wi-Fi this and that. And I'm just like, I had to call it out, because at the end of the day, I'm like, yo, we're not about to sit here and make excuses for our losses. If I go in the gym and I can't bench 260 pounds, but yesterday I could bench 260, I'm not going to make excuses. I'm just going to say today I'm recovering and I'm not feeling as good, but I'm going to get to it and I'm going to do my best to try to do it tomorrow or something. Or today is not my day, and just accept that that's the facts. Or that I'm using the wrong technique. I'll be like, maybe my technique is wrong. I would figure out what the problem is, where I messed up at, and do better and grow from that. That's something that I respect. And I think as gamers, that's how we grow. We start off level 1, like I told people in the stream last night, level 1, and we get beat by everything. And then we learn and grow every time we level up and every time we fight different monsters, bosses, characters, yada, yada. We learn how they move and maneuver, and it grows into muscle memory in our brain, and we know how to respond and do this and that. We learn the mechanics. We level up. So the only way to level up is to take an L, is to lose. But yet the Smash Pro that was training me couldn't seem to take an L at all. And I, like I told everybody in my Discord, it makes sense. This guy is so good at the game that to me spells out that he is so hard on himself when he loses, that he hates it so bad that he does everything in his power to avoid losing ever. And I think that's really what it is. But there's another side of me that's asking the question, like, how did you get this good at the game if you couldn't take an L and also dissect it and figure out where you messed up at and how to improve on it? So there's that section of me asking that question. There's these 2 questions. But long story short, what happened last night? The pro gets beat probably around 7-8 times. Then somebody he knew that he had been fighting for a while, they had a friendly rivalry with one another, typed in a chat and said, oh, is he mad? And I just happened to read it out loud. And then suddenly he starts screaming, going off, wilding out. And then his mom walks in the room and says, yo, son, you got to stop yelling like this. It's just a video game. It's not that big of a deal, yada, yada. And she starts speaking to him in Spanish, and I don't speak Spanish. I only speak a little bit, poquito type shit, you know. And yeah, he ended up completely leaving the voice chat, leaving my server, leaving and unfriending me on everything. And there's just no way I can even reach out to him. So I can't finish the series. But I wanted to make this video to say, despite whether you are coaching someone and teaching them something or not, just remember that there is always a lesson that you can learn from others. Never think that just because you are in a predicament where you know one thing more than somebody else, that there's not something they may know more than you. And last night, I happened to exhibit and push that onto everyone and show them that exact lesson. That he may know how to play Smash Bros better than me, but he doesn't have better sportsmanship than I do. He doesn't have that same level of dissecting his losses, his L's, and taking those and turning them into learning experiences and improving. And the whole basis is that I was able to realize when I lost against him that he was really good and that I made many mistakes and that he could help me hone in on those mistakes and iron them out. If I never acknowledged that I was even making mistakes and I made excuses and said, I lost because of this, I lost because of that, I lost, then I actually would never have grown from it. But yet here we are. I was getting trained by 3 different Smash Bros pros, and this is what it is. Now, another thing I'd like to say too is that while these are all great players and stuff, if you can't acknowledge why you lose and you can't grow from that and you can't isolate it and point out your mistakes, does that really make you a pro? So I really think that potentially I may have been mistaken by saying that these were pros. Maybe I should have just been like really good players. But I think that anybody that's a pro, a professional in something, won't have their head so far stuck up their ass that they just believe they can never make a mistake or that they can never get caught slipping, that there's no way that they could ever get bested. You know, me as a pro, I would never have that mentality, me personally. You know, that's just me. I have like good sportsmanship. I also analyze and overanalyze myself, and I try to figure out ways that I can be better in every single avenue. And I'm constantly being heavily critical on myself. And I think that anybody that's being that way shouldn't find excuses and make up reasons and try to find ways to shift the blame on why they lost at something or why they didn't do as well as they should have done. And instead, they would reflect it inward and decide, well, I could have back aired here, or I could have fared here, or I could have down aired or spiked here, that sort of thing. And they would be like, I could have did this better, that better, I could have reacted quicker. They wouldn't just be like, excuse, 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 excuse. And you know, when you get to the point where you're giving so many excuses that you refuse to give props to other players who are actually good players that are actually beating you, I think that that is when we're at the point where we're delusional. And I only mention all this to say that one of the coaches, really cool guy, not going to say names. I'm not even going to publish the video because you guys don't need to see it. One of the three coaches, he knows who he is. I 3-stocked him. And I beat him every single time we fought, except for like 1 or 2 rounds. And he gave me like a low rating. And I said, if you were to rate me 1 through 5 or 1 through 10, what would you give me? And he was like, a 3, a 4. I'm like, I 3-stocked you. I beat you. You couldn't even beat me, but yet you're giving me this rating. And like, again, I think that that's just like the inability to be able to acknowledge that somebody is good, or that you made mistakes, or that someone may be better than you. And it's like that level of ego and pride and those sorts of like behaviors are the exact reason why I never wanted to join the Smash community to begin with, ever. I never wanted to be a part of the Smash community because it's just armpit smelling, ball sack dwelling, butt crack, sweat, juice licking people that literally just all smell like that, act like that, behave like that, refuse to acknowledge when you are good at the game, refuse to give props, it's just like some hater shit. And then it's also people that they just make terrible decisions and that make horrible mistakes and that they say and do some pretty ridiculous things. And me personally, I never wanted to be associated with that. That's why I've always kind of stayed in my own little corner of the internet over here. Despite me not being part of the Smash Pro community or competitive scene, I've always been a player that always could go toe to toe with the competitive scene. Always been a player that could give a run for their money to everybody in the competitive scene. There was only one person, and you guys have been tuning into my streams, know that has literally been able to absolutely demolish me so bad that I asked him to be one of my coaches. That's the truth. There was only one person. And when I saw that, I was like, that's a level of commitment that I've never given to it. And maybe I should try to give that level of commitment as well and see where it could take me. Here's the thing. Didn't work out too well because that person happens to be part of the Smash competitive scene. And maybe I made a huge mistake, a lapse of judgment by even deciding to become a part of the Smash Bros competitive scene. But I will continue to say this. I'm still going to continue to be part of the Smash competitive scene. I'm going to get involved with it. So to those coaches that decided to like bounce on me, to just say, screw you, I'm not going to train you anymore, didn't want to finish the series. They made commitments to you guys. They made commitments to other people and to audiences as well as to me, and then abandoned those commitments. Guess what? I'm not abandoning my commitments and the things that I said that I would do. Because if I said I'm going to do something, I'm going to set myself out to do it, and I'm either going to do my damn near bestest and achieve it, or I'm going to do my best and I'm going to fail at it. But I'm at least going to do it. So I'm going to continue onwards. We're going to still do our best. And I'm going to still continue fighting people and still continue whooping ass. And to all the 3 coaches that did abandon me, y'all are still welcome to be around me anytime you want. Welcome to be within the streams, within the videos, within the community, etc. No bad feelings or ill will towards you. That's why I didn't name anybody, because we're not here to do that. I just wanted to update the audience and let everybody know they abandoned me, guys. That's the truth. They dipped off. They didn't want to continue working with me. One of them told me that I think you're better off just being a casual. He's the one that I 3-stocked, by the way, multiple times and beat him over and over and never lost to him except for once. He's the one that had the hardest time even beating me or teaching me any lessons. He may know more about the mechanics and the names of different things and stuff, but he couldn't beat me. Then the other one just said, I have a headache, and just never showed up after day 1. Or actually, after the initial stream where we announced that we would be training with Smash Bros, he never showed up again, actually. And then the third one, he stuck around the longest. He was there for 3 videos, 2 streams and 1 video. And he was supposed to be here for part 4, but he dipped out. He abandoned the entire community. He said nothing. He gave me no word of notice, no anything. Just like the others didn't. They didn't give me a word of notice until I reached out and said, yo, what's going on? So we were supposed to have this series done, honestly, to be real with you guys, 2 weeks ago. It was supposed to be finished. Here we are 2 weeks later, and this is what you get when you rely on people that are in the Smash community. That's armpits probably smell like dookie, that probably have stinky ball sacks, that probably don't shower much, that probably don't know what deodorant is. This is what happens when we involve ourselves with that type of community. And I guess that's why I never wanted to get into it to begin with. There's been a multitude of my friends that are fellow streamers that said, I never will stream Smash Bros because the community is so toxic, or the community is so bad, or it's so ego driven, or it's just this, that. I never really shied away from it too much. I still streamed and was part of the community, but I also just never really got into the competitive scene because I just didn't have time. I didn't want to. I was always in my corner of the internet. I don't know. Part of me is thinking that I should just stick to my corner of the internet and continue making the content that I make and the videos and playing the games that I like to play and things of that nature, instead of like trying to get into this scene. But another part of me is like, I'm not going to shy away just because something's difficult, or just because people are salty, or just because people, when you play a game, you're not there to make other people happy when it's a competitive game. It's a fighting game. You're there to whoop ass. You're there to literally beat each other up. Why would someone be happy that you whoop their ass? Sure, they may not be happy, but they can at least acknowledge you're a good player. I don't know. Doesn't seem like that's a skill too many people have within that community. And I'm just keeping it a band. I'm just being real with you guys. I could sit here and keep yapping all day. It's already damn near been 20 minutes of me talking about this. But yes, if you're wondering where the Smash Pro Trains Me series is, it's scrapped. Unless we get some other Smash Pros that would like to reach out and work with me, I'm always open to it. But we don't have any coaches left, guys. We don't have any pros left. The pros have literally abandoned their posts, abandoned their jobs. They're not training me anymore. They don't want to. It's not like I was a bad student. You guys saw how like receptive I was to everything and how I worked with them and stuff like that. I think the issue is that when I started pointing out the fact that they were being disrespectful to other people in the community, that became a problem. And they didn't like that. And also, I think that another issue was that some of them just couldn't even beat me. So how can they teach me if they can't even beat me? Maybe they could tell me some informational stuff, but they can't themselves actually beat me in the game. So it's like, how do they teach someone they're not better than? I can't learn how to do math from a professor if I know how to do math already better than him. He's going to teach me algebra when I already know trigonometry and he doesn't know it. You get what I'm trying to say? That's where we are. I just wanted to give you guys an update. This is what literally just took place last night. If you are curious, the stream is still up. I will not be deleting it. I will not be removing it. You guys know I'm a very transparent person, but that's where we are. Yeah. If you enjoyed the video, appreciate it. Hit the like button. If you'd like to tune in and stick around and hang out with us, hit the subscribe button. If you didn't enjoy it, don't hit the like button. Don't waste your time with it. And don't hit the subscribe button. Like straight up. Just that simple. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay healthy, everybody. Stay happy. Peace out.